Hey guys, once again, this is how you force your opponents to always play the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann defense. You know the Caro-Kann defense advanced variation, you guys. After e4, you normally play c6, and after d4, you play d5, and you always hope that white plays pawn to e5 so that you may develop your light squared bishop out of the upcoming pawn chain to f5. Point is, sooner or later, you always get rid of that light squared bishop and then play pawn to e6 before developing your knight to e7. This is the Caro-Kann defense advanced variation at its best. The problem with this is that after you play pawn to d5 on move number 2, white doesn't always need to advance their e-pawn. They can take on d5 if they want, so that if you take, they then introduce the deadly pan of attack, which changes the face of the Caro-Kann defense, and this is deadly, you guys. This is one of the openings that make most Caro-Kann players quit chess. Yes, because at the end of the day, this is not going to look like the Caro-Kann which they like to see. It is for this reason that I came up with this improved Caro-Kann advanced variation. I mean, a way to force your opponents to always find themselves playing the advanced variation of the Caro-Kann. How do you start? After e4, you play knight f6 first, which is called the Alekhine defense, kind of forcing your opponents to advance their e-pawn so that you go back like this. If they play d4, well and good, that's when you play d5. Most people do not take with ampersand because this will just help you achieve the improved perk defense. If you think about it, knight f6, bishop g7, how is this the improved perk defense? Because you do not have a c-pawn, so your queen's rook will shine in the middle game after you put it on c8. That's just a semi-open file if you think about it. So that's why I'm calling this the improved perk defense. It won't make sense for white to castle long because you have a point of attack already in the opening stage. And that's why most of your opponents are not going to be taking with ampersand when you play pawn to d5 on move number 3. At this stage, most of your opponents will be playing knight f3, which is the top played move in the Lichess database. And now this is when you go bishop f5, kind of the advanced Caro-Kann if you think about it. If bishop d3, what do you do in the typical Caro-Kann? You always exchange the bishops, and then in this particular position, you always want to keep in mind that white may play queen b5 check and probably win your pawn on b7, which is why it is important to play either knight c6 or queen d7, stopping that move. After castle short, that's when you play e6, since you don't have a light squared bishop or a bad French bishop. Anyway, if you want to know more about this, simply watch this video that has popped up in the card above, which was the first video I published on this so-called improved Caro-Kann, although this is traditionally called the Brooklyn variation of the Alekhine defense. It doesn't even matter. I love renaming these openings in my own way. So I'm calling it the improved Caro-Kann or the improved perk because of the unique opening strategies that I just showed you. Right. Now, having a big mouth won't help me, so let me walk the talk. Just to demonstrate how powerful this can be against real human beings on Lichess. Stay tuned. And hey, don't just watch. That's not encouraging at all. To keep this channel alive, you can simply share this video, hit the like button, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have nothing to say, just type "Thank you, Kaspa" in the comment section down below. Lastly, if you want to go through my study PGNs, such as the one I'm using in this study, you can visit my Patreon page. The link is in the comment section down below. Okay, time to retreat my knight back to g8. I want to play the improved Caro-Kann defense or the improved perk defense. Yep, d4 is the top played move in this position. And so my idea is to play the late Caro-Kann defense with d5, c6, bishop f5. If my opponent takes with ampersand, I'll take back with my c-pawn and transpose this game back to the perk. So bishop d3, kinda not allowing my bishop f5 move to happen. So what I'm going to do in this position is to play c5 because I want to play e6 in the near future. So this is kind of the Caro-Kann variation if you think about it, for those of you who play the Caro-Kann. c5, c3, knight c6, normal move. I want to take on d4. So now this is back to normal. And this is one thing I love about this so-called improved Caro-Kann. Others call it the Brooklyn variation of the Alekhine defense. That's fine. By the way, I should mention to say I'm playing against a 2104 rated opponent. Knight e2, I feel like developing my light square bishop on g4. So bishop g4, just pinning the knight to the queen, although I know white can play pawn to f3 or that, yep. I want to play bishop h5. Now, I'm afraid white is going to play knight f4. Even if I play bishop g6, they may simply take, or at best, white may play pawn to e6. So let me just avoid all those tricky lines. Back to e7. I'm leaving an option to castle long, by the way. That's why I did not play bishop c8. Whenever white develops the dark squared bishop on any of these highlighted squares, just know that the b2 square is weak. At this point, if I want, I can play cd or simply queen b6. Let me play queen b6. Okay, so looks like I'm having a wonderful game. Queen d2 protecting the b2 pawn. Now it makes sense for me to play pawn to e6 since there's nowhere where I can put my light squared bishop if you think about it. So pawn to e6 is justifiable. Besides, I'm paving the way for my dark squared bishop. So now I can even play this move, c4. The idea is to take the b2 pawn. That's why I placed my queen on b6. And looks like there's nowhere where white can place their bishop without losing something. Guys, start playing this Alekhine Brooklyn variation, which I'm calling the improved Caro-Kann. It can also be thought of as the improved Perk defense if you think about it. Now I can take the b2 pawn, attacking the rook on a8. At worst, I'm going to win a free knight. This is only move number 11, and you can see how my opponent is struggling. So you can see my opponent just resigned. Either ways, they were going to lose their rook or the knight. I mean, there was nothing my opponent was going to do in this position. So let me play another game. Still watching without subscribing? Come on. The more you subscribe, the more you encourage me to do more and review more stuff. Anyway, okay, this time I'm playing against an 1885 rated opponent. D5. Okay, let's go bishop f5. Bishop d3, I'll just take. e6. Now this is just the late advanced variation of the Caro-Kann. If you think about it, if I want, I can take. Now I feel like developing my king's knight in this position. Can I? So I want to play knight e7 or knight h6. Let's go with knight h6. I want to put my bishop on e7. Easy development. Easy peasy. If bishop takes, I was going to take anyway. h3, bishop takes. Queen takes. Now I can place my knight on f5. If g4, I have that. Oh, simply knight h4, challenging white's knight on f3. I have the queen on d8. This looks cool. Anyway, enjoying this game so far. This is one opening that you can heavily depend on, even in classical chess. If you think about it, if at all you are a classical player, you can try this out. I call this the improved Caro-Kann, or simply the improved perk. If white takes with ampersand on d6. Great, you can see my opponent just cast short. Now I can play c6 if I want, or knight c6, or queen d7, or even bishop e7. But I'm afraid if I don't do anything about the b7 square, white will give me a check. So I can play c6 in this position if I want to seal the deal. Or you know what, let me just play pawn to c5, because if white plays queen b5 check, I'll play queen d7. That's if I want. Or just knight d7 and take. So c5 is another move you may consider playing. You can see my opponent just played pawn to c3, because they seem to understand my strategy in this position. So now I can safely play knight c6. Let's just close the queen side. Now I'm attacking the knight on a3. I would love to mess up my opponent's pawn structure on the queen side. In fact, let me do that. And then attack the rook. Now look at all these weaknesses on the king side. So if I want, I can put my queen's knight on f5. In fact, this looks amazing. Let's do that before I cast a shot. I know white wants to play queen a4 check. Let's stop that. With this one move, I'm also threatening to take on c3 so that I can give a check. If I take on c3, white may play queen a4 check. That's an intermediate move. So I need to guard my king first. I want to play s6 next. Let's get rid of that rook. Must go back. Now I can take here since there's no check. So that's just a temporal queen sacrifice. If you think about it, I want to go knight e2 check, then went back. Anyway, queen f2 my opponent played. Now I can attack that queen one more time. Okay, now this is a big blunder. My opponent should resign. It's game over. Yes. Okay, so again, this was a very short game. Now, go and check out 3 of my new courses on my website, KaspaChess.com, that I highly recommend you get right now. The newly updated Semi-Slav defense against d4, the knight c6 Nimzowitsch defense, and the mighty e5 Paris defense, which is my best selling course till this date. Chess is a school on its own, and you will just need to show some efforts to unlock some secrets that content creators don't show on YouTube. And that's how you support this channel, by the way.